Okay, so it's time to test the PSI. Let's go ahead and check it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at yet another pressure washer. It's been a little bit since I did a pressure washer review. But anyways, today we're going to be looking at the Ryobi 1800 psi 1.2 GPM little square cube unit. Now, funny story, I actually bought this and started reviewing it, man, 2 years ago probably, maybe more, when it first came out. So I saw that it was initially launching on Ryobi's website saying available soon at Home Depot. I was able to get it as soon as it came onto Home Depot's site. I got it in stock, and then they released a 1900 version that looked exactly the same, and then they pulled it off the website, and I thought that they had just made a mistake and they weren't actually releasing it, and I never went back and reviewed it again. Well, today it's back. It's been back for quite some time, actually. I've gotten a lot of requests to review this thing, so let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, so here is the unit, 1800 psi, 1.2 GPM. They stuck with the standard things that I love, meaning they have the water inlet hose attachment here, water outlet here, meaning it's all running in line, so you don't have to worry about things getting tangled up. Always love that. They have the handle on top that you screw in, toggle switch right on the front, same across the board with all their units really, except for the 2300 is a push button. So with this unit, normally you get 3 nozzles. You get a 15 degree, a power nozzle, and a little blue, just basically wide open. I think they call it their soap dispensing nozzle. I hated that thing. It was silly. There was no reason for it. Basically, it usually comes when there's a solution tank and you can hook it up when you have a solution going through. I never ever use that anyway. I always use a foam cannon at the end of the gun so that there's no solution going through the whole unit. So anyways, guys, with this unit, you get a 15 degree, and this one is labeled 1.7. It's a 1.7 orifice, so nice and small, so that should get us up to that 1800. I believe, if I remember well, I would have to double check, but on the 1600, I think the new ones come with a 1.8. The 1900 unit came with a 1.7. I believe, and this one's coming with a 1.7. That's probably how we're getting up to that 1800. Probably about the same motor, it's just adjusting those numbers to get up. And then additionally, you also get a turbo nozzle. This one's cool, right? They did it to match the unit. Perfect paint to sample here, so that's cool. Now with the 1600 unit that they came with, there's a little straw that would attach into a solution tank and you can blow everything through that. With this one, you actually get a little soap blaster. Now, I like this solution better than what the 1600 came with, but I still don't like this solution. These like barely do anything. I'll show you, we will test this, we'll show you down the road. Next thing up here, guys, the pressure washer wand is the same thing, standard here. Just little prongs here, you just push it in, get it to seat down, twist it, you're locked into place. Basic trigger system, does have a lock on it. And now this doesn't lock it into the spray pattern, it locks it into so that you can't spray for storage. On the front, you do have your basic 1/4 inch quick connect, which is great, which fits the nozzles and you're good to go. Now, one thing to note that is completely different with this unit that I haven't seen from any other of their units is the hose. Now, this is a 20-foot hose. The unit also comes with a 35-foot power cord with a ground fault interrupt plug. That's standard, that's what it has always come with. But this hose is definitely different. For the little connection points, they did a nice little paint to match again to kind of tie everything in. It's still a standard 14 millimeter M22 by 14 millimeter connection point. So you can upgrade your hose very, very easily to the Uberflex hose, which is what I recommend. However, right off the bat, guys, I do want to tell you, this hose, it's very thin. Let me just grab the Uberflex. So it's very, very thin, as you can see. And it feels cheap, but honestly, it feels a lot better than the ones in the past. So let's see what this is rated to. It says it's rated to 2000 PSI. Keep away from hot surfaces. Now the coating on this does feel like it's not the best, like it would kind of melt through pretty quickly. But, and that does happen on hot days, you know, you can be pulling it across a tire or something like that and it can kind of burn through. So keep that in mind. However, this thing is way more flexible than their hoses in the past. Also, as far as kinking goes, guys, it is not kinking. You can get it, just like the Uberflex, you can get it to roll over on itself, but there's no memory in the line. So whoever sourced or designed this new hose for Ryobi, at least for this unit, good job. It seems, I don't know how robust it is and how long it's actually gonna to last, but as far as a pleasure to work with, I'm assuming this is gonna be way better than what they previously came with. Now, guys, I do still recommend the Uberflex hose. The reason I recommend this thing is because how flexible and how pliable it is. Same thing, does not kink. You can get it to roll on itself, but there's no memory. Fantastic choice. This is definitely much more robust. As you can see, just the connection points and everything else, just much sturdier looking than this one that it came with. But as far as a hose that Ryobi's come with, this is the best one I've seen, as far as it being flexible and not kinking. Another reason I like the Uberflex hose is because it's 50 feet long, so I can get around a car or two if I need to. I can leave a pressure washer in place and get a lot of distance, especially with these ones that don't have wheels. You don't want to be picking it up and having to move it all the time. So the 20-foot hose that it comes with, like I said, is way better than it's been, but it's still pretty short. So I definitely recommend an Uberflex hose. I'll have the Uberflex as well as the Flexzilla hose linked down in the description below. The Flexzilla is the same exact construction as this one. It's just, it would match this really well with the color, so up to you guys. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and test this thing out. We're going to test the PSI with an actual meter. The meter will sit right here. We'll be able to test the actual usable PSI. We'll test the GPM, and then we'll also test it. We'll test this little foam blaster, and then we'll switch over to this hose. We'll test everything using this hose to make sure we're getting the same exact numbers, and then we will hook up an actual foam cannon to it to see what kind of performance we get from it. So stay tuned, guys. Here we go. Okay, so I've got the unit plugged in right here. Water source is connected. I have it plugged into a little meter on the wall to test the amperage as well. Also, I'm gonna grab my phone. We're gonna test the decibel levels of this thing to see just how loud it is. Typically 83 to 85 decibels is kind of where these things normally run for me in this little echo chamber and from right about 3 feet away. So we'll test that in a second. Let me go ahead and grab my phone. Okay, so I have my phone here. I just turned on the water, no leaks. There's water running through the system now. I'm gonna go ahead, there's no tip on it. I'm just gonna pull the trigger. Let the air purge out of the line. You always wanna do that first so there's no air caught in there so you get nice clean results. So also, I am using all the factory equipment currently. We have it plugged into, I added quick connects just so I could put my pressure gauge on here. Now, here is the decibel reader. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it on. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and put on the 15-degree nozzle because that's the one we always test everything with. The turbo nozzle is great as well. It actually typically loses pressure even though it is more effective at cleaning just with the cone pattern. So we're gonna test it with this 15-degree nozzle. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it on. And as I'm doing this test, guys, I'll be monitoring the gauge on the wall as well so we know what that is, and I'll let you know. So far, cool. It has the total stop system. It sounds exactly like the 1600 PSI unit. Here we go for the test. So bouncing around quite a bit, but it's sitting right about 85 decibels. 84 decibels, I'm sorry, but still a little bit on the higher end than some of the others. Let me go ahead and test the rating on the wall now. Okay, so for me, it maxed out at 14.59 amps. Okay, so it's time to test the PSI. Again, we're using the 15 degree nozzle that it came with, and it states that it is a 1.7 orifice. So, there we go. Let's go ahead and check it. Okay, so it's taking a bit of time to get there, but we are getting to 1700 PSI, so I'll go ahead and show you guys that. Let me see if I can get this to focus. So it slowly creeps up to that 1700 PSI mark. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to a 2.5 and a 3.0 orifice. I think with the 1600, I like to operate with the 3.0, if I remember well. I can't remember exactly, but we're gonna go ahead and test those. Now, why are we testing these other nozzles? Because for car detailing, I like to operate around 1100 PSI, somewhere between 1000 and 1200 ideally, and get the most GPM or gallons per minute rating I can. The higher the GPM, the more you're rinsing stuff away on the car. So I like a higher GPM. So what we're gonna be using is a 25 degree in the 2.5 orifice and a 40 degree in the 3.0 orifice. The size of the degree does not matter in this case. It's just the size of the orifice that matters. If I was using a 40 degree 1.7 like the 15 degrees, would be in the exact same PSI number. So it's just so I can keep them, so we're not using all white ones and I can't remember which one's which. So here we go. On to the 2.5 orifice. All right, so we've already dropped significantly. We're sitting at 1050 PSI. So this 3.0 orifice is probably gonna drop us to 900, I would assume, or right around there. Let's see. Yeah, about 850. So here we go. So that's a bit light for me, for my liking on car detailing. So we're gonna test the GPM rating using the 15 degree nozzle that it came with, the 1.7, and this 25 degree that is a 2.5 orifice. I'll have links for all these different orifice sizes down in the description for you guys, as well as links to the foam cannons I recommend, the Uberflex hose, all that kind of good stuff, as well as a link to buy this pressure washer. Okay, in order to test our GPM, I have my bucket here with a measuring guide on the side. We're gonna run the pressure washer into the bucket for 1 minute. Then we'll measure out the water and see what the gallons per minute rating is. There we are. I've got the 15 degree nozzle that it came with into the bucket. Let me grab my phone. I'm gonna set the timer for 1 minute. There it is, and here we go. Okay. So there is 1 minute with the 15 degree nozzle. Now again, this thing is rated at 1.2 GPM. I'm just gonna come around the front here and measure it out. And we are sitting at about 4 3/4 quarts. So I'm just gonna tap that in real quick. All right, so that we're sitting at 1.188 GPM. So just, I mean, it's pretty accurate. My measurement might be a slightly off here. It might be a tiny bit over. So I would say that 2 GPM is accurate. I mean, we're barely off. So not great, not bad though, it's accurate. Again, this thing is rated at 1800 PSI, 1.2 GPM. We're getting 1700 at 1.19 basically. So right there. All right, I'm gonna empty out the bucket. I'm gonna switch over to the 25 degree nozzle that is the, where did I put that thing? 2.5 orifice, and test the GPM on that one. We're good to go. Into the bucket. Get my stopwatch ready again. Reset it, and here we go. All right, there's 1 minute. Just gonna let that water settle for us. Wow, we increased a bunch. So I was monitoring it as I was going, or as it was going, and I can confirm that it was sitting at that 1050 PSI. But we are at, yeah, it went up a full quart. So we're at 5 3/4 quarts now. Wow, we are now operating at 1.4375 GPM. So yeah, getting close to that 1.45 GPM. That's great. No, we're a little lower than that. So I would say we're probably at 1.43 GPM. It's a little lower than that 4 1/4, 5 1/4. But that's really good. I'm really impressed with that because that's a big jump between the two orifice sizes. So that's really good. Let's go ahead and hook up the machine now to the Uberflex hose, just to test that, just to confirm that you don't lose any pressure or anything like that from it. Again, this pressure washer hose that it comes with is nice. It's really thin, and it is nice and flexible. However, it's still 20 feet is a little short for me. So if 20 feet works for you, then this is a great option because the hose is not bad. Okay, onto the Uberflex. Okay, I've got everything set up now. We are now on to the Uberflex hose. Again, 50 feet long, nice and pliable, doesn't kink, all that kind of good stuff. Here we go. I'm going to show you guys the numbers here. Remember, it was sitting about 1600 and slowly creeping up to 1700. It's getting 1700, but it takes a little bit of time to get there. So here we go. Okay, so exact same numbers. We don't need to test the GPM because we're getting the exact same PSI. It's gonna be the same. That was the 15 degree. Let's go ahead and switch over to the 2.5 orifice. Go and put that in, and with this one we were getting 1050. Let's see. So there you go, everyone. Exact same numbers regardless of the size of the hose. Even though it's 50 feet long and a little thicker and a much easier to work with, it gets the same numbers. So let's go ahead, and now we're gonna go ahead and test. I'm just gonna use the Uberflex hose since there's no difference in performance. I'm gonna test out the little foam blaster that the unit came with. Okay, so for this test, I just filled it up with Adam's Mega Foam, actually, just to here, and then the rest is water, just to show you guys. Adam's Mega Foam is the foamiest of foamy foam soaps. So let me go ahead and pull this up real quick, a little bit longer, and I'll just show you on my van here. Now, in order to use this, it's not a quick connect, which is unfortunate. You actually have to take off the front piece of the pressure washer wand and then install this guy. So you want to put it in sideways, get it to seat, push it down, and there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and point you guys this way. And I'll show, I know my plastics need to be redone. I'm going to be doing that. I did a whole review on that. I'll be using the products I use in that video. If you're interested in how to restore your plastic, I'll link that video down in the description, so check that one out. Here we go. So as you can see, it applies soap. It's just soapy water. It's not foam. It's not a foam cannon by any stretch of the means. Stretch of the word? Anyway. It's nice they gave it to you, but if you want a professional result, I'm going to switch you guys over to the MJJC Foam Cannon Pro. There's a nice car going by. There he goes. Sounds good. So I'm going to be switching over to the MJJC Foam Cannon Pro. This is my foam cannon of choice. You can buy them on Amazon. They're a little bit more expensive, or you can buy them on my personal website. I imported a bunch because in the past they would ship from overseas and take a long time. So I imported a bunch, so I have them in stock and you guys can buy them there. So here we are. This is the MJJC Foam Cannon Pro. This is the one that I bring in, so it's unlabeled, but still exact same internals and everything as the MJJC Pro. It looks the same, it's just not labeled. So I'm actually gonna take the solution right out of that little foam blaster. Here, I'm going to give you guys a option for a cheaper version, because this is a $70 foam cannon. I'll give you guys some options for cheaper ones in order to get better foam from them, especially from a unit like this that has a lower PSI, a lower GPM. You'll want to switch out the orifice to a 1.1. I'll link a video in the description on how to do that as well. It'll create much better foam. Still not anywhere in the same league as this guy. This thing gets so much foam, it's crazy. So there we are. Gonna go ahead and put the top back onto it. And then the nice thing about these is that they are actually a quick connect. So you can leave that little piece on and you don't have to worry about removing something just to put your foam cannon on. Put the foam cannon on, just a little quick connect. There we go. Make sure it's tightened down, and here we go. I'll show you the difference. So it looks like it is completely snowed on the vehicle, completely stuck on there. It actually, the benefit of this, look how thick this foam is. I mean, it's just sitting on my hand, not dripping off at all. It's so thick. The benefit of that is that the soap is able to cling onto the panel and break down all the contamination and all that kind of stuff. So when you rinse it away, you don't have to go in and do a contact wash as aggressively as you normally would. This is gonna, you let that dwell on there a little bit. It's gonna break that stuff down, and then it comes up nice and easy. So here you go, you can see it again. So there you go, MJJC Foam Cannon Pro, or called the Pro Max Foam Cannon, on my website, detailersupply.com. Link down in the description below, I appreciate it. So there you have it, the Ryobi 1800 PSI 1.2 GPM. Numbers are accurate. Again, I was getting 1700 PSI, but there is some loss. I think they usually rate it at the pump. So a little bit of loss to that hose, but not really, because between the 20-foot hose and the 50-foot hose, you don't lose anything. It's just, I think there's a little bit of break-in time. So again, usually in the past, a lot of the pressure washers I test usually sit about 100 PSI below what the rating is. So I think just over break-in time, and that's usually a pretty fair assessment. So I would say this thing's accurate. It was getting 1700 PSI and just about 1.2 GPM. So I like it. It's represented correctly. It's gonna have plenty of power for you to do all your stuff around the house. Pressure washing your driveway, side of the house, all that kind of good stuff. And then when you switch it over to that 2.5 orifice nozzle, it's a little beast for car detailing, guys. 1050 PSI at 1.4, a little bit above 1.4 GPM. Not bad numbers at all. Yeah, so good little unit. I would, again, the hose is much better than the ones I've seen in the past, but it is still short. The foam cannon or foam blaster is not a real foam cannon. It's just, it blows out soap. So consider getting an actual foam cannon. Again, I'll have mine linked down in the description below. I'll also have a cheaper version for you guys. The Amazon Basics is a good choice. Really cheap. It's like under 20 bucks. You just got to buy the orifice that goes with it, the smaller orifice, to get more foam from it when you're using a unit like this. So that's it. Please make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on that notification bell. I appreciate all of you. We'll see you on the next one.